In the last two parts on public speaking, we saw certain main features that one has to keep in mind when a public speech is delivered. So we saw the value of content, the value of articulation, the value of selection of words, then so many other aspects. So in this part, that is part 3 onwards, part 3. Part 3 onwards, we will see one main feature and some examples on that, so that we will have a clear picture about how we can go about while we are delivering public speaking and how we have to prepare. So here I like to give you one information here, that is Cicero, one of the celebrated speakers in the history of the world, rather in public speaking. He says 5 essentials of public speaking. He belongs to the Greek civilization of the past, so that even in the past, how much importance has been given to quality public speaking can be understood by going through this one. So the first point he says is that determining exactly what one should say. That is, determining exactly what one should say. That is the content and relevance. What is the content that I am going to deliver, and how relevant the speech is to the context that I have selected. These are very important. Otherwise, what happens? Topic may be something and we may deliver something else, or we may be called to deliver a speech on a particular topic, but we may go astray from the topic and deliver so many other things. So if we prepare very well, then we will not be going away from the route that we have fixed to deliver that particular speech. Second, he says, is arranging the material in proper order. That is the structure of our speech. Very good public speakers, you can see that their flow will be very smooth, and their structure of the speech will have a proper introduction and the body of the speech, and then the conclusion will be there. We will see how the introduction should be done. There are some 8-9 aspects that we have to see how we can structure our speech. I will be giving you some inputs on that. So proper order. We should know a speech should have a logical flow. It should be developed in a very logical manner. Then clothing the speech in a well chosen words. Clothing the speech in a well chosen words, I'll give you some examples from the speeches of Swami Vivekananda. I'll give you today some examples from celebrated public speakers. So, for taking up this point, clothing the speech in well chosen words, that means there should not be any other word which can be substituted for that word. That is appropriateness. So that perfectly we have to select the word which suits to that occasion, which suits the placement. That is it. So you see here, when he delivered a speech on the greatness of India, Swamiji talks like this. He is talking about the cultural richness and the base of spirituality in our nation. This speech, I think, has been delivered in Ramnad, when the king of Ramnad in southern Tamil Nadu invited him as guest of honor. On that occasion, Swamiji delivers this speech. So he says, you see, the words, please observe, in this land are still religion and spirituality, the fountains which will overflow and flood the world to bring in new life and new vitality to the Western and other nations, which are now almost borne down, half killed and degraded by political ambitions and social scheming. But mark you, if you give up that spirituality, leaving it aside to go after the materializing civilization of the West, the result will be that in 3 generations you will be an extinct race, because the backbone of the nation will be broken. The foundations upon which the national edifice has been built will be undermined, and the result will be annihilation all around. This is one of the excerpts. In another speech of similar nature, talking about the greatness of the nation, it is in Chennai, I think. Swamiji delivered this speech. I took one portion of that speech. This is the land from where, like the tidal waves, spirituality and philosophy have again and again rushed out and deluged the world. And this is the land from where once more such tides must proceed in order to bring life and vigor into the decaying races of mankind. It is the same India which has withstood the shocks of centuries of hundreds of foreign invasions, of hundreds of upheaval of manners and customs. It is the same land which stands firmer than any rock in the world, with its undying vigor and indestructible life. Its life is of the same nature as the soul, without beginning and without end, immortal, and we are the children of such a country. This is one of the extempore speech delivered by Swamiji, and you please observe the choice of words. And in another speech, when he is addressing the youth of the country, one of the finest motivators, finest user of English language actually in his speeches, he stirs the blood, he makes people invigorated. So this speech he says, "Have faith that you are all, my brave lads, born to do great things. Let not the barks of puppies frighten you, no, not even the thunderbolts of heaven, but stand up and work. Stand up, be bold, be strong, take the whole responsibility on your shoulders, and know that you are the creator of your own destiny. All the strength and succor you want is within yourself. Therefore, make your own future. Make your nerves strong. What we want is muscles of iron and nerves of steel." This is, please observe the choice of words and the force with which the words can be delivered. So, next point is the fixing of the speech in mind. Visualization technique. This is being done by even big celebrated speakers also. We rehearse it mentally. Once experienced speakers, mentally they rehearse the speech. But in the beginning, we have to rehearse the speech. We have to observe our body language. We have to observe our articulation, our pronunciation, pause, and the sentences, the delivery style. Everything should be observed so that we should fix the mind, a blueprint, that this is how my speech will be drawn today. It will be like a painting. Then delivering it with dignity and grace. Here what I mean is that when a scholarly people or anybody, gentle people who have to deliver speech, should maintain the dignity and grace of the speaker and the audience also. We should not unnecessarily abuse people or criticize somebody or use words which are hurting. Irony is there, sarcasm will be there, pun will be there. We may be having some humor, but not at the cost of somebody. That we have to observe. The political speeches, it is okay, but when we are giving intellectual, scholarly, academic speeches or on general speeches of general nature, we have to see that we are under control. So there are so many aspects that we have to take into account. Today let us see only how the speech can be introduced. What are some of the techniques through which a speech can be introduced? So these are the 6 points that has come to my mind. One is that how can we begin the speech? See, here I will give you the example of the very famous speech of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru ji, what we call as the tryst with destiny. We also call it as the appointed day speech. You see how the beginning, the first paragraph, how he begins, you see. In the first paragraph, that announce the subject directly in the first sentence. The audience, this is one technique. What we are going to speak, that should be known to the people. So announce it in the first sentence. You see, I'll give you one little bit of the speech from Appointed Day. Long years ago, we made a tryst with destiny, and now the time has come when we shall redeem our pledge. Not wholly or in full measure, but very substantially. At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom. A moment comes, which comes but rarely in history, when we step out from the old to the new, when an age ends, and when the soul of a nation, long suppressed, finds utterance. It is fitting that at this solemn moment, we take the pledge of dedication to the service of India and her people and to the still larger cause of humanity. This is the first paragraph from the speech delivered on August 14, 1947. You see how beautifully the words are selected, how the sentences are constructed, forceful sentences, and the announcement of the subject directly to the audience. So this is one we have seen only this morning today. Then the other 5 points we will be seeing in the next session, where other way of introducing. Always the speaker should not introduce his speech in a similar manner. Every speech should be taken into account as a new one. So our speech should be different. The style should be different. Our style of introduction should be different. So that these are some of the inputs I am giving you. We can tell a story or giving a natural illustration, using a statement that arouses the curiosity of the people, or start with a very humorous story and draw the attention of the audience. Ask a challenging question. This is another technique. I will elaborate on all these things in the subsequent videos. And a significant quotation. And one more example I will give you today, how to begin a speech. You see, this is by Martin Luther King, when he received the Nobel Peace Prize. In his acceptance speech, December 10th, 1964, I only read the first paragraph. You see how the topic is first delivered, that is announcing the subject. I accept the Nobel Prize for Peace at a moment when 22 million Negroes of the United States of America are engaged in a creative battle to end the long night of racial injustice. I accept this award on behalf of a civil rights movement which is moving with determination and a majestic scorn for risk and danger to establish a reign of freedom and a rule of justice. See, what a beautiful choice of words and the spirit with which it is delivered. Another concluding remarks that we will be discussing in detail, but I will tell you, a public speaker, a leader, has to take the audience into his grip. A mesmerizing speaker stirs the souls of the people, stirring their blood. They get into that type of spirit. One of the finest speakers in history is Winston Churchill. In his war speeches, he ends a speech which is a very famous one in the world history, which we can say that even turned the tide of the world war. So the last paragraph I read to you, you see how he motivates his people. Says, we shall not flag or fail. We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in France. And on the seas and oceans, we shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on beaches, landing grounds, in fields, in streets, and on the hills. We shall never surrender. And even if, which I do not for the moment believe, this island or a large part of it were subjugated and starving, then our empire beyond the seas, armed and guarded by the British fleet, will carry on the struggle until God's good time, the new world with all its power and might, sets forth to the liberation and rescue of the world. See how beautifully this is a speech delivered in the Parliament, the House of Commons actually. So today we saw only how a speech can be introduced, and even in that we saw some of the examples of how the announcement of the subject directly in the first sentence can be done with examples. So remaining we will see in the forthcoming videos. Like this we will see that how other techniques can be adopted and what are the very celebrated examples of that. Thank you.